So, Carrie, where did you get this passion? Like, I can tell as you're talking about this, you're very passionate about it. Where did that come from?
So I spent the first about 15 years of my career doing mostly family law. I mean, I dabbled in estate planning, I dabbled in some other things, but family law was really my main focus. Unfortunately, family law is extremely stressful, and I do still do family law. I still think it's very important, but it's very stressful. So 6 years ago, I actually had a major medical event that really kind of changed my perspective, changed my outlook, and changed my career focus. I had a massive stroke 6 years ago. I ended up in the ICU at York Hospital in surgery and really was in not great shape for a short period of time. At that time, shame on me, even though I'm an attorney and I know better, I had no estate planning documents in place for myself. I didn't have a power of attorney. I didn't have a medical directive. I didn't have a will. So if things had turned out differently, my family would have been faced with a really, really challenging situation in having to probably go to court to get guardianship of me to make decisions. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but it really made me take a step back and say, wait a minute. If I, as an attorney who knows better, don't have these documents in place, what about people who really just don't have that background? And it's so important to plan for that because life can change in an instant. You could have a car accident, you could have a stroke, you could find yourself, in a situation that you're not able to make decisions for yourself. And not having those documents in place can really put a huge burden on your family. So that made me kind of reassess and think about the fact that estate planning really just isn't for the elderly. It's not just for people who are sick, it's really for anybody. And it's really important to have those in place. So that's kind of where my passion came from personal experience. The other side of that is that my grandmother had really, really good estate planning documents in place when she became ill and then ultimately passed away. So seeing the fact that she had great documents in place and how that positively impacted our family is another reason why I kind of decided to head in this direction.
Were you really close to your grandmother growing up?
I would say, not as close, she lived in a different state. We were close in that, we saw each other on every holiday. I spent time with her in the summers when I was a kid. So not as close. And we honestly, as a family, didn't really know that she had these really good documents in place until we needed to use them. The biggest thing was her healthcare directive because she ended up having actually a series of strokes and was incapacitated. And my mother was her healthcare power of attorney agent. And those documents were so clear that my mother was able to, fulfill my grandmother's wishes even though she was emotional and it was a horrible time. But without having those in writing and having those in place and ultimately knowing what my grandmother would have wanted, it would have made the decision making so hard on her. It was hard anyway. It's always hard. But by having a clear plan, you can look at those documents and say, you know what? My mom went to the time and effort to write this down. I know what she really wants. And it makes the decision making in really hard scenarios so much easier for the family.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's funny. I thought when I got married that I could make decisions for my husband. And it wasn't until I had a conversation with you that I realized, oh, actually,
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, Pennsylvania, it's different, medical decisions and, legal decisions are 2 separate areas. Legal decisions, technically, there's a statute in Pennsylvania that says next of kin can make medical decisions, but that can be tricky too because, what if you're not married? What if you're a widow and have 4 kids? Well, if you're a widow and have 4 kids, guess who your next of kin is? It's all 4 of your children. And I have 4 brothers and we never get along on anything. We never agree on anything. I can't imagine if the 5 of us were thrown into a situation where we together as a conglomerate had to make those decisions and agree on everything. You always hope that your family is going to agree when it comes down to it, but that's unfortunately not always the case. And by having a clear plan, having it in writing, having your wishes articulated in that manner, you can avoid the stress on your family, the emotional impact on your family. And I've seen, these things tear families apart. And you never expect that to happen, but you can plan for it. You can avoid those things. And the best way to do that is to have a clear plan in place.